Hey there, Chad here. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to take another look at Ostranauts. This is Ostranauts build 0.14, and this just released in the last few weeks. It is on beta right now. You can pull it down on Steam from beta. It's been really enjoyable, and it adds a ton of new content. My previous video, we talked about some of that content difference on the ship, and in this episode we're going to talk about what's different on the station. Before we get started, I would like to ask you to please consider subscribing to my channel. It will help me out. It gives me a sense of who likes what and if these videos are really reaching people. I really appreciate your consideration in doing that. And as always, likes and comments are greatly appreciated as well, as those help with the YouTube algorithm as well. Okay, enough of that part. Let's go ahead and get into the game. Okay, we are pulling up to the station, to OKLG, and I did remember one other thing that I don't recall seeing in the previous iteration, and that was this down here. This is the current bearing and vertical velocity towards the target of for docking. And that I don't remember seeing that in the past. I think it's extremely helpful. I've been able to do docking a lot cleaner. I get lined up a lot better earlier, and it allows me to make fewer corrections when I'm trying to actually dock. At this point, I can probably just speed things up and I should be good to go. There we go. We'll clamp in there and we are at the station. I do my best not to criticize games. One thing that I've noticed is there does seem to be more lag than I used to have. Quite a bit more lag, actually, particularly when you are docked at a station. I don't quite have as much when I'm at at a ship or something like that, but walking around in here particularly, it just seems to get really messy. We still have all the bodies. This didn't happen for several days. I didn't have any of this going on where you get all these dead bodies laying around the station and they never go away. But it did start just a couple of days ago. There was one period where there were probably 15 or 20 people all in this area right here, right outside the license desk. And they were all just talking. I didn't see anything that looked suspicious or anything. I left to go to a ship and salvage some stuff. I came back and then there were some dead bodies and stuff just kind of strewn everywhere. What I have found is that picking up this stuff is often advantageous. You grab it, you drag it to your ship, and then you repair it and sell it. That's been going really, really well for me, and I will probably continue that practice at least for the time being. Now, last time I came in, I didn't have this entire extension on my ship. I just added this. As you can see, it's not outfitted. The goal for this is for there to be a restroom and then crew quarters, basically. That's really what this part of the ship is going to be for. I haven't decided if there's anything I want to add. I might expand the bridge a little bit, make this a permanent bridge area, give it a door, but I haven't decided for sure exactly what I want that to look like. If you followed my videos before, this engineering over here probably looks similar. I did it a little differently, but I have batteries down here where I can kind of have a battery backup so I don't accidentally use so much battery I can't get back to the station. This actually came in handy with building this because it was a long flight out there. I had turned off these two batteries and the power did go out at one point. I would not have been able to go home had I not done that. So having the bonus battery, I just flipped the switch, all the lights came back on. One thing I noticed, I set up a signal box to control the majority of the lights while I was working off of the ship. So I turned everything off and I did a couple of tests and the power drain was the same with the lights on or off. I sort of assumed that maybe lights and things like that have a power trickle, and the more lights you have on, the more power will trickle. I have to say that what my experience was, that didn't seem to be the case. I tried 3 different time frames. I tried a minute, 5 minutes, and an hour, and the numbers were virtually identical whether or not I had turned on or off all of the lights. Now, I didn't mess with thrusters, although we weren't going anywhere. I didn't mess with the intakes or the pumps or any of that stuff, just lights. And I would think that they're pretty low cost as far as running them, but I kind of expected some difference. I really saw nothing. That was interesting to me. Okay, let's take a quick look around the station. So a couple of things that are new right here. The first thing I noticed was there was an extra food cart. And I really don't see a whole lot of difference other than they offer slightly different things. But everything over here seemed to be the same. And that was pretty cool, including where you found some of the pieces when you first start the game. This area looks roughly the same. I feel like there were more gathering areas, and I don't quite see as much of that now. Supplies has moved over here. If you recall, it used to be right here. And what this is now is a kiosk for cargo ships. And or cargo pods. I have no idea how to use these. You find them on some freighters. So far, every time I've found one, it is empty, but I haven't figured out how to use this. And so that's something I'm going to be looking into, and eventually I'll have a video on that. It looks interesting to me. It looks like you can send stuff to other stations. Here's OK leg. I'm assuming like this is Venus, a couple of Venuses, things like that. But I don't know for sure what everything is. But it looks like you can send supplies, and there is like a going rate for what that might look like. So that could be exciting in the future. I hope it lives up to what my expectation is it might look like. Because you have those, you have to have the ability to buy cargo pods. What I have done is uninstalled some cargo pods and brought them back and sold them. They sell, I think I sold them for $2,500, but I don't remember if that was on the black market or if it was to the license desk. Let's take a look at some other stuff. Bathrooms are still here. There's another new thing over here, and this is another kiosk, and it is a real estate broker. You can now buy space to live in on the station, and I thought that was kind of interesting. This kind of uses that one view that you had with the other ships, the derelicts and that, where it would kind of be like a drone view or something. Kind of gives you something like that. Yeah, there it is, drone feed. We're not actually seeing anything here. I don't know. That might be normal, maybe not. I don't know. I feel like I was able to see something once when I did this. I'm certain I was. So I don't know if maybe it's today there's nothing to see, or if it's simulating the camera's broken or what's going on there. But nonetheless, you have the ability to buy things like apartments, I guess you would call it a residence. You'll notice this permit thing. You now have to have a visa in order to live in certain places and to visit certain places. I haven't figured that system out yet either. Like I said, I'm still trying to pay off my first ship. I want to get that done. That's my immediate goal. And once I have done that, we will continue with some other things to see where the game moves us. Okay, let's see. I think everything else here is much the same. The supply desk got moved here. It does still sell your basic supplies. You still have the scrap desk. You still have the licensee desk. I never did a video on doing gigs, but the gigs do look roughly the same as before to me. Gigs look pretty much the same. Probably just was the luck of the random draw, and it probably was something that could happen before. But you know how they have like these stickers, like it's supposed to be a bank terminal or something that people have vandalized a little bit. Had one that was sitting right here, couldn't read any of the data on this screen. That fortunately was one of those early playthroughs. I was trying to get my legs under me on how to play the new version, but that was bothersome. That I was not excited about that. I literally wouldn't have been able to do missions because I couldn't tell what I was selecting. And it seemed to happen on all the terminals. When I went to other places where there are these terminals, it was also on those. Could have just been bad luck that particular time. So let's go look at the transit real quick. Here's one other thing that changed pretty significantly, and that is there's an entire new area to go to. Not that there's anything there for me to see, but we have Azikiwe Estates. That's Azikiwe, I'm not even sure. But the estates area, this is where I think those apartments and things are. And I would guess that when we come here in the future, when we have an apartment or a residence, that's how we find stuff. I have found that it has been relatively profitable to pick these up and hack them and then sell the data. So I'm going to grab that. I'm still at the point where I'm taking everything I can that might get me a little bit of money to pay off my loans. Okay, we're going to access the transit. I don't recall there being, so yeah, this is where you can, if you have a private residence, it looks like you have the ability to go out to it. So this is like a stopover station in getting to your actual house. We're going to go ahead and go back to the port, and then let's jump over to the Mescaform, which is where the black market dealer is. Okay, not a lot has changed here. Pick up another one of these real quick. I'll work on those a little later. But if you look through here, Sundries is still here. There's a cart, I think that was all there. I don't recall seeing anything new in here at all. The black market dealer is still generally over here. First time actually I haven't seen him here. There he is. No, that's me. There he is. I have had a little trouble selecting it to, I guess I'm only on 4 time. This tends to bounce around for me in this particular build. It used to always just be I think it was number 2 always. It jumps around some, so I wasn't really thrilled with that. Okay, we can see some of the things he has for sale. If I can't find another one of these soon, I might just go ahead and buy this if he still has it available. I think I sold mine to him for 22, so that's not a huge loss. I have one right now. I'd like to have a second. Want it to show some of the prices for things like these fuel coils. So in the last episode, we talked briefly about the fact that there's a lot more parts to the fusion reactor now. With there being more parts, the prices of any particular part isn't crazy, but we have to have 2 of these for a fusion reactor. There's 4 of these. So right here alone, that's 26,000. And then if I add these in there, I'm at 32,000, which is starting to bump up to where we were with the previous system on how these worked. Here's another piece for 8,000. You can have a couple of those. There's the pellet feeder, should be in here somewhere. I may not have my ship perfectly. Oh, here we go. It's so the one fusion laser is not wanted at this point, so we'll skip that. Here's a piece. Already selected that. I have that other piece that isn't fixed yet. That's in the lower level. The pellet feeder is not wanted. So that might be everything that we can currently sell with regards to that, but we're looking at 40,000 with a couple of pieces still not available to be sold just yet. So we can make a good amount of money when we visit these ships that have a torch drive and take those apart. I would say that with it being multiple pieces, I have found more of these than I used to find just fusion reactors, which were a single piece. And I think that's because the way the engine would work in the past is there was a chance the reactor would be destroyed, blow up, right? You would find scrap metal everywhere. With there only being one piece, there was only one thing to blow up. It was either there or it wasn't. With this, it feels like there's parts that might be there and parts that are missing. Often I find these lasers. Often I find the pellet feeders. And so I'm usually finding something worth bringing back and selling for a few thousand credits on a regular basis. I've also been selling a lot of thrusters. I've been finding a good number of those, and they sell well even to the license desk. And the other piece that, well, I think I mentioned that, the data on these has been selling pretty well for me as well. Okay, I think that's the majority of the changes. We can, real quick, I think there's one other small change on the commercial level, where I don't really go down there much. I haven't had much need to because I'm still trying to pay off my loan. Okay, if we come down here, we see that the ship kiosk is still here. I feel like there was something over here. Oh, this is where, I know what it is. This is where the visas are. Yeah, so these are the different embassies. And we can visit one to request, inquire about visas for KLAG. So we'll do that. And it's not just KLAG. It actually, there's a few places that it represents. This is Ganymede as well, 1036 Ganymede. As you can see, they're expensive, 5 million credits. I'm nowhere near that. I'm still in the hundreds of thousands to pay off that I haven't completed yet. Skilled labor visa, 750,000. I don't know what the differences are in these. There must be a difference, right? Otherwise there would be 2 different ones for a huge price difference. But that's what they look like. We're going to go ahead and exit out of that. And if we look at one of the others, I think there's a Venus. Yeah, here's the Venus embassy. And this is for Encantado and Venus, and probably the Venus substation. Does it tell us down here? I'm not really seeing it. Anyway, you can see there's a few other things, an authority-sponsored visa and local-sponsored visas as well. So I think what this is telling us is we have, at least we have residency at KLEG, and it's okay with that. The other items aren't available because of that, and so I would assume that the local sponsored visa has to do with living there or something like that, and the authority sponsored visa is probably similar. So things to look forward to in playing through the game. I'm trying to get to those as quickly as I can, but the game does play slower than it used to, and having to start over wasn't helpful with getting ahead of the curve. So I intend to have some videos on new stuff very soon and walkthroughs of how to do various things like build the torch drive and other stuff like that. I hope you'll hang around and see some of that in the future. Thank you for your time, and until next time, fair travels.